Crafternoon, everyone. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Today, we are doing our next installment of our Master Layouts series, and today is a deep dive into Master Layouts 18. Now, 18 has to be absolutely one of my favorite Master Layouts set. I use it a lot. It is just, I don't know, it's just one of those that just steps up Master Layouts 2 just a little bit, and Master Layouts 2 I use all the time. It is just one of those that, I don't know, it just gives an extra little pizzazz to your cards. So I can't wait to show you a couple of the cards that I've made in the past and then make a couple cards with you today. But before we get started, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Happy Crafternoon.
How are you today?
I am better than horrible back here in the dead space today.
You're better than horrible in the dead space.
It's always a dream of mine.
You love the only thing that'd be better than the dead space is being out on your bike or being in the basement playing your saxophone, right?
Yes. Yes.
Other than that, the dead space is a close third.
Always dreamed of being in the dead space, whatever that meant. I never knew what that meant when I dreamed that.
But it was a dream. Well, do you have a word of the day for everybody today?
I have a word of the day.
Oh, good. All right. And if you see me looking down in the corner, that's because that's what I see on my screen. I know I probably should look into the camera more, but I tend to look where I can see Tom's face. And then I also like to look and see your comments, but Tom just moved those right to the center, so that's perfect. All right, well, let's talk about the Master Layout series, and let's just remind everybody, if you're new to this series, that on our website, which is ginakdesigns.com, you can click on the blog tab and then go to templates and charts, and you can find all the printable downloads that I've uploaded for all of the Master Layouts die sets from 1 through 18, because that's what we're doing today. So last night I made 18. I uploaded it last night, so it was ready for us this morning. And what you're going to find there is you're going to find a sizing sheet that's going to tell you all the sizes with a picture of all the dies and what they look like in the set. And then you're also going to have an idea sheet, which is a great way to get you started with anywhere from 3 to 5. Some of them have even more different card layouts that you can do using that Master Layout set. Now remember, the Master Layouts die series was made to mix and match between itself. So Master Layouts 2 works with 14, works with 18. You know, they all kind of work together. You can use the large circle from Master Layouts 8 with Master Layouts 1 for an A2 size card. It's okay to mix and match these together, and each set has some unique elements that can be used across all different size cards, which I love. So the Master Layouts 20 die set was designed for A2 size cards regarding the frame. However, if you wanted to turn this into a 5x7 card, you could use that frame as the focal image layer on your 5x7 card, and then it would just have a lot of border space around it. So you can even use any of the ones that are designed for A2 for your bigger cards. Instead of making those the main panel of your card, make them the focal image panel of your card. And, you know, the possibilities really are limitless. So let's look at the binder here. This is the binder that I created, and you can see behind me here, we're already up to our third binder. This is the last set that's going to fit in this binder, and I'm going to go out on my way home and pick up one more binder and some more sheets, pocket sheets for this binder, so that we can finish up 19 and 20 in the upcoming weeks. Then that leaves me open for at least 4 more Master Layout sets to design. I mean, can't have a binder with only 2, right? So you will find the cover sheet that you can download on our website, and then there's a QR code on that cover sheet. And each time you want to go back to the spot on our website to find the next downloads, just use your smartphone or your tablet right over this QR code, and it'll take you right to the spot on the website where you can download all of the inspirational sheets over there. So this binder started at Master Layouts 13, and last week we did Master Layouts 17. So this week we are up to Master Layouts 18. This die set is packed with dies. When I tell you it is packed with dies. Now the only thing is when you're looking on the website and you're counting how many dies you have in your Master Layout set, the one thing that you will notice is that this die is actually attached to this die. No, it isn't. No, well, it is. It is. It's not a separate die is what I'm saying. So let me show you here. So what you're seeing in this picture is you're seeing a big outer frame. But then here you're seeing a die that also has stitching. In this Master Layouts die here, the frame will cut out from here, and then the center will also cut out and drop out, and it will have stitches on it. So this is a 2-in-1 die. It'll still give you the open frame, but it will also cut the center one out. And we did that to try to keep this die set more affordable and still have that extra die in there. Because now that we have this extra die, we were able to add a shadow layer for it rather than just adding this one and not having a shadow layer, if that makes sense. The other thing that's nice about this die, which is in the center here, is that when it drops out, you know, you can cut another one in a different color. And as far as paper piecing, there's never a time where this piece isn't going to fit perfectly in there, because they're always just, it's such a rigid die that there's no chance of stretching anything at all in there. Now, the other thing that I love about this die set are the sentiment strips, because most of our sentiment strips are just plain sentiment strips dies. You've seen that in Master Layouts 2. You've seen that in a couple other Master Layouts. You know that we have sentiment strips dies. But this actually has 3 sentiment strips dies, and it has 3 shadow layers. So you can mix and match them you can match them together and get that nice outline, that shadow layer. Then it's got 2 really pretty borders, and these borders won't only work with Master Layouts 18, but they'll work with our vintage sets, our vintage Master Layout set. They'll work with the Master Layout set that has the scallops going around it. Just peruse all of the different Master Layout sets on our website and you will see how these elegant dies can work not just with this set, but with other ones in our collection. Then we also have this little wreath element, which I love because it's just the perfect little grounding panel. We talk a lot about grounding panels and how just to put a bird or a flower in the middle of your card sometimes looks weird, but if you anchor it to something, it looks so much better. This is the perfect thing to anchor it to. I had made a card with this, but I actually mailed it to somebody. I was looking all over for it today because I wanted to share it with you. But I had mailed it to somebody, so I'm going to make that card today, a version of that card today, so you can see how to use this wreath. And then I designed an idea sheet. So here is the Master Layouts 18 idea sheet. And it says in here that this die set was designed to create a thick frame and other accent pieces that coordinate with Master Layouts 2. Now that's just to give you, like right off the bat, you'll remember if I have Master Layouts 2, that's how I'm going to get the little black shadow layers on all of these cards. You don't have to rummage through your dies or cut a bunch out to figure that out. And then you can use the plain large rectangle in Master Layouts 2 to add a shadow layer around the frame. Mix and match this set with other Master Layout sets in your collection, and the strip sentiment dies in this set work with a variety of sentiments you have in your collection, which is so true. They work so nicely. Now, I made a few of these here just so that I would have my Try Me panels. And also, I have all of my tri-cuts in here. I ran out of stamp pockets last night at home, so I have to get a stamp pocket and I have to put a label on it. But I do that with all of the die sets. I add a stamp pocket that just says what Master Layout set it is, and then I have one of each piece. This way you can always try them. That's why we call them tri-cuts, thanks to Yaya. She created that name. But the tri-cuts are great for that. You know, you always have that, and you can like pull that out and just see if this little, you know, cute little furry creature is going to fit in one of these squares. It's just nice to have them pre-cut. So I want to also remind you that every single one of these layouts can be used horizontally or vertically. We do have some vertical sentiment sets in our collection too. And there's a set that Debbie Warner created called Vertical Variety. And you can always do your focal image. You know, let me see, where did that go? I have one here. You can always like put your focal image on the side here and then use a vertical greeting going down. So don't forget those vertical greetings and to use these sentiment strips in a new and unique way. There's no reason why you couldn't put a vertical design going down, a vertical greeting going down. You can also use these as accent pieces because they are quite decorative. So if you wanted to do a cool striped rainbow kind of thing going down your card, you could certainly do that with these as well. So these cards I really designed to be vertical this way, not on the horizontal, but I wanted to show you how you could use them that way. So for these, I used the large frame. Now for this one, I just used a Master Layouts 2 panel. Actually, I just hand cut it, but you could use a Master Layouts 2. And I used the part that fell out of the center, and I layered it onto the black shadow layer that's in the set. That's this panel and this panel, to create a raised panel here in the center and added a sentiment strip. And remember, another thing that you can do with these sentiment strips is you can always put the sentiment strip here, but then not use it for the sentiment per se, but rather use it as an accent for your greeting. So maybe you just want a little something to kind of separate the greeting itself from the rest of the card. It can just be a little separator, and then it just jazzes it up a little bit. You see what I mean? So you can use die cut greetings on top of these sentiment strips. And again, these become grounding panels for your sentiment strips. This one uses that wreath element, and then I use the frame, and you can see that's got the double stitched frame thing around it, and I used a centerpiece that I paper pieced in there using craft instead of the white. And I used a different one of the sentiment strips, but I just love the shadow layer around the outside of those. It really makes that pop. Now here are a couple more. Remember, you can always turn things vertically. I know I just have this one floral image here, but you can always turn things vertically and put an image like that right in the center, and then pop your greeting up onto it like that, and still have that little wreath element peeking out from the outside, which just turns this whole thing into kind of a wreath. It just feels very round, that design, even though this design would not feel that way if you used it on something like this. It wouldn't feel like a wreath. It would feel more like a rectangle there if you used it on here like that. So this just helps your images feel more like a wreath. See what I mean? Just makes it rounder feeling. And then this design I absolutely love. Of course, you could do anything you want with this. You could park that off to the side, and you could put your greeting up here, and you wouldn't even need to use this. Or if you want, and you have a super big greeting, you can do it right across the center here and just let a little bit of that border show. This is kind of big for that, but and then you could use this as your grounding panel for your greeting down here, or just use a strip sentiment. So these are the 5 different Try Me panels that I created, and again, like this one here, it looks great with the design this way, right? And then putting your greeting down here, it looks really great, but it would also be really pretty this way. And just having that little border coming across the side. You can also use this border with any of the master layouts because these border dies are huge. I mean, I don't know. It certainly wouldn't work with like the slimline one, maybe not even the mini slimline, but any of the A2 panels that you have. These are, the full size of the card. So it's a full A2 size, 5.5 inches long. So if you wanted to even do a decorative edge just on the edge of the card, just to create that little decorative edge, what you would do to do that, and one day I'll do a video on this, but you just put your die up to the edge here, but you don't allow the blade to cut here. And the way you do that is you take your plate and you put it right up to the edge, over the edge. You tape that all down and then you send it through. And if your die plate is covering that edge, actually you do it the other way, like this. So wherever the die plate stops connecting, let me show you on this one. This one's a little bit bigger and might be a better one to do it with. So let's say you wanted that little scalloped edge along the edge of your card. You would put that on your cardstock, but then you would put your plate like right here, and then you would cut through. And it would only cut here because there's only a blade on this side and a blade on this side. There isn't a blade in the center here. So that's a way that you could just use that as a little decorative edge. But I'll demonstrate some of those kinds of things in the future because I know that they're neat ideas. All right, so I'm going to put these back. Make sure I have them the right way here into my binder. And I'll tell you, we are getting close to the end of this series. It's going to be sad when it's over, but it's going to definitely motivate me to do some more master layout sets. Okay.
Quick question. Judy is asking, where are the finished cards you have created in the series? I'd like to include those in my binder.
So if you go to our Facebook group, you can go to the guides. And in the guides, that's where all the finished cards are. If you are only here on YouTube, you can go to the Posts tab. So click on my name at the bottom of the screen, and then that'll take you to my channel. And then you'll see a tab that says Posts. Click on that, and you'll just have to scroll through and find all the different posts. But I shared all the cards that I could. Now I want to show you a few cards here that I made using this set. Let me just zoom in a little bit. I love the border die too. I'm going to zoom in here. Okay, so here's a card that I made, and I made this one with poly glaze. I used the stamp set. I have it. I grabbed that one and put it somewhere. Now, where did I put it? Here it is. This one is called Flower Medley, this stamp set. And I used the poly glaze version of it to make this card. And you can see here, I bumped this up using some foam squares. You can also bump it up just by cutting, 3 or 4 of them and gluing them together. And I used our Flurries poly glaze background to create that little background that's peeking through that has some sparkles. And then I used some of the individual elements from the Flower Medley stamp polyglaze set, and I used the coloring stencils to color them in. And I used one of the greetings there, the "You are the best friend ever." This is what this stamp set looks like here. So you could do this with the stamp set if you don't foil. If you foil, you can pick up the coordinating polyglaze. But you can see how that thick white frame and that beautiful little border, which was made with this die, just adds a little something to that whole layout. So that's one card that I made. Now, some of these cards, they are in other videos, so you can check back with some of the other videos that I've made over the years. This one, I called this video something to do with mitered edges because I wanted to show people how to make it look like a frame and how to give it like some depth and dimension. It's just this die, this same die here. But then I wood grained it.
My gosh, that just rises off of the paper.
Isn't that cool? And I wood grained it, and the way that I got my wood going this way and got that little edge there is with a Post-it note. So all I did was take a Post-it note, and I blocked off the corners with 2 Post-it notes, like that. And then I did my wood graining. Then I pulled them off and I did them here. I can demonstrate that for you today if you'd like to see that. But this card is really fun. This is the set Sending Flowers that I used for this. And these strip sentiments will fit nicely onto all of the strip sentiment dies that come in here. This all came out at the same time, these two stamp sets. This was in a kit. And the kit was called Sending Flowers, I believe. So if you keep all your kit stuff, well, I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, but I think it was called Sending Flowers. We've done so many kits. We've been doing kits since 2008. So we were the first ones to do a card kit way back then, and we've rarely missed a month. All right, now here's this same layout, but without the mitered edges. So it's still really pretty. This might be, those of you that like a more crisp look might like something like this better with that craft ink. With that craft cardstock, just crisp, no mitered edges, where this wood grained frame, it's really fun. Okay, and then not that long ago, I got a little ink smudge on that, so I got to fix that. But I did this from our Christmas in July kit. And I used that frame, and just instead of using pattern paper or just cardstock, I used our Twirl It Checks background stencil and created that. And I did that with polyglaze too, because I can never have enough sparkle and shine. So those are a few cards that I made with this, and I will share these pictures as well as anything that I make today. So let me just show you how to do that wood graining technique, because I think that that's one that people will really enjoy doing. Now, I cut a bunch of things here, so you don't have to watch me cut things out a million times. So I did this last night. Did you hear me cutting, Tom, all night?
Yes. I did hear you cutting.
I was down there die cutting away. All right, so these are all the pieces, and you can see what they look like. I love this. That is just such a pretty little frame. And I cut all these things. I'm just going to put them aside here. And let's get, this is our sticky mat. So I'm going to take this frame, and I'm going to put it onto our sticky mat. All right. And I'll show you how to do that wood grain technique with this, because I think that that's just fun. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to block off this corner with a Post-it note. And where I'm going to put the Post-it note, I'm going to line it up at the corner, the top corner, and then I'm going to line it up with this corner where the two parts meet, okay? Tom, remind me right after this that I am due for a brand new sticky mat. All right.
Will do.
Make a note. All right. So I've got a Post-it note here, and I'm going to block that off. Sometimes I'll just put it right up against the edge, and then I'll just like turn it a little bit so I can still see it. But it isn't that hard to see. It really isn't. Okay. All right. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. It truly isn't that hard to see. But, if you have trouble, just take your time. Now, if you're worried about the rest of this, you can always add like one more Post-it note here and one more here, just to make sure that you don't like exceed past this area, because it's nice to have an ink cube for this, but not everybody has ink cubes. And let's see, I want to find the color I want to use. Not everybody has ink cubes. Plus, sometimes wood graining is just easier with a pad. All right, so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to just take the ink pad and go right across it like this, okay? All right. Now, I am going to get a brown blending brush, and I'm going to get my ink stand. Why don't I have an ink stand right here on my desk? I always have an ink stand. Okay. So I'm going to take this ink right here, and I'm going to add a little bit of it into the corners there, okay? Just because I want to make sure that I've got brown there, All right, now you can do this. You could do this with any color you want. You could do it with gray. It would be super cool with gray. It would also be really cool to add a little turquoise in there to give it more of a aged look. All right. Now there we have our first corners. Now we want the grain of the wood to not all be going this way, right? So now we have to shift. And I'm going to put this just a little over the edge, just a tiny bit over the edge.
Towards the blank?
Towards the blank area, yeah. Right.
Or to allow for more white?
Just to show a little bit white.
Okay, so it's not
going
towards...
this way a little bit.
Oh, gotcha, yes.
Right?
Gotcha.
All right, and then I'm going to add this in here. I'm going to add a little bit more brown up in there. You know, and if you want like wood marks, you can always like, see how I'm like adding the little lines in there that make it look more like wood? Okay. See, now we've got like that little bit of white in there that just kind of, now you can go back over that and make it not look so bright white, but it does make it look more like a corner where the two panels come together. All right, and we're going to do the same thing down here. Just go a tiny bit over the edge. In here. There we go. Like that. Get a little... And we'll get a little bit of ink in there. Now see how bright white that is? I'm just going to soften it a little bit with the ink. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And then we'll do the last one, just a tiny bit over that edge. And a tiny bit over this edge. You can always go back and add more if you want to. So if it's too much over the edge, like too much white space, you know, you can always go back and add a little more. Love that. So now we've got a mitered cornered wood frame. Isn't that fun?
It would be neat to do that with like 10 different colors.
It would be. It would be really cool to just try it with everything. It looks really good with gray. It really looks good if you add a little bit of turquoise in there. Like sea glass. Let's see, do I have sea glass close by? You can always add a little sea glass in there. It just ages it a little bit. Can you see that, the green in there? So if nothing else, this is a really fun technique to do. And because of that great frame from Master Layouts 18, it makes it so easy to do. Just a couple of Post-it notes and you've got a frame ready to go. And that could go on absolutely any card and it would just really, really make it pretty. Okay, so that's a little technique I wanted to show you. Now let's make a different layout card. One that I haven't made here, although I am going to clean my fingers because I just got a ton of ink on them. The color brown that I used was warm cocoa. That was warm cocoa. And then the little bit of green that I added to it was sea glass. But if you like a brighter green, you can always use like Tranquil Teal. You could use Emerald Coast for a more green blue. More green turquoise. Oh my gosh. So let me clean off this sticky mat too, because I may have to do a little bit of, this is seen better days, this sticky mat. But you know, I mean, I've gotten probably a good year out of this one, so I don't feel too bad. They are not meant to last forever because, you know, the sticky stuff eventually goes away. Okay, so let me grab Master Layouts 2. And Master Layouts 2 is the sister set to Master Layouts 18. And by using these two dies with Master Layouts 18 from Master Layouts 2, this is going to give you the shadow layer that's going to fit. This is going to fit perfectly in the center of, so you can do that little shadow layer look around the outside. And it also will make a panel that's exactly the same size. So if you're wanting to just cut panels that match perfectly so that you can do something underneath, that's what I did with this card. I had initially cut this sparkly paper out, the Flurries Polyglaze sheets, with Master Layouts 2. This way I could just line them up super easily. But it's also okay to cut that panel with a paper cutter, and you can even cut it smaller. It's totally up to you. All right. So I just want to have this on standby, and I do want to clean my tabletop up because I've got brown all over it, and I know I'm going to ruin something white here with the ink that I have all over my table. Okay, there's that. All right, let's cut well, we don't have to cut a frame. We have a frame. So let's do 2 frames here, and let's adhere them together. Now, I was cutting a lot last night, and just to be safe, I would send it through the machine and back through the machine. And when you do that, sometimes you get these little frays that you just have to like take your nail and scrape them off. You can see them falling here. So I want to do that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these using a darker color. So I'm going to use something like Tranquil Teal for this. So let me grab my paper cutter here, and I'm going to do a Tranquil Teal card base. And then I'm going to cut this into quarters because I don't need a whole sheet of this. Okay. So this is going to have a Tranquil Teal card base, and it's going to have a Tranquil Teal center. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut this with the same large die. I'm going to use the, where'd it go? Oh my gosh, where did it go? Oh, is it stuck to something? Oh no, here it is. Okay. So I'm going to use the large frame for this, and I will use my magnetic. Oh no, you brought me a new plate. For these big dies, I actually don't like using the magnetic mat. The magnetic mat is awesome for small dies that coordinate, where you need it to not move when you're doing a coordinating die. But the magnetic mat can't be flipped. This mat can be flipped each time, and that keeps it flatter longer. So when I'm using the magnetic mat, I use that specifically for things that I don't want to shift but are smaller. And, you know, this way it preserves the lifespan of the magnetic mat versus this mat, which, first of all, this mat is cheaper. And second of all, you could flip it every time to preserve the lifespan of it. So, and these dies are really big, so I do send them through on an angle. And then sometimes I will send it through, I'll just flip it and send it through the other side. Oh, a big shout out to Brienne. Thank you, Brienne, for being here again. And Brienne, if you wouldn't mind, I used your inkstand. If you could link your inkstand for people, because people always call customer service after the lives asking, where do I get that cool ink thing? So, all right. So now I'm going to put this aside and use this for another project. Now this is going to be the perfect size to drop into the center of my card. And I'm only going to use one of these, but I'm actually going to layer 3 of the frames together. Now you don't have to do that. You can cut one frame and you can use foam squares. But if you layer 3 of them together for mailing, sometimes it's a little bit better because there aren't any shallow spots unless you're using something like a full foam thing going around or you're using the shaker strips. So I'm going to glue 3 of these together, but I'm going to use tape for it. So let's get some tape on here. Yeah, Mercury must be back in retrograde. Okay. It's not. It's really just me. Okay. All right, there we go. So we've got 2 together. Now we could do 3, we could do 4 of these together. And I also want to show you how to get that little border in the center too. But we're not going to do that on this particular card. Okay. So now we've got 3 of these together. And then this is going to fit right in the center, but it's going to drop down a little bit. You see that? How it drops down? I'm kind of far away because I have the die cutting machine so far away. Let's zoom in a little bit. So this is going to give you a little bit more dimension this way. Now I'm going to put this whole thing on in Master Layouts 2 single die, and that's this one right here. So this was cut out with Master Layouts 2. This gives me the shadow layer, and I'm going to put that onto that panel. Now, if you like the way that the black looks showing through, you don't have to add another color. Let's see here. Like this. Okay. You don't have to add another color. You could have the black showing through, but I think it will be pretty to add another color and just drop it down in there. And then you get a little bit of that dimension going. It just looks sunk down in there just a little bit. Oh, no. My tape ran out. But I should have another one. And I do. Thank goodness I do. I have another one. This is this comes in a 2-pack. And we may be out of this because we had a sale in July. We had like a little 4th of July weekend sale, and we sold tons of those, but it should be in any day if these are out of stock. This is one of those things that everybody stocks up on whenever we have a sale. Makes sense. I feel like tape runner is like toilet paper or gas. It's like you want to feel like you have enough of it, but you hate to spend money on it because it's not the fun stuff, right? So you don't want to run out of toilet paper. You don't want to run out of gas, but it's never fun to spend money on it. The way it is like a new stamp set, right? Okay, so now I'm going to glue a couple of these together to give this a little bit of dimension too. So let's do that with some Connect glue. I think for the people that are going to watch the replay, I'll just cut that whole scene out so they don't have to sit through that struggle bus. Now with this, I don't even worry too much about like putting glue on these little rings here. I just put it right on the hearts. And if you are watching the replay, I was struggling trying to show a technique, but I had never done it before with my intracut plates. And so I have to figure out the exact method. So although I do most of my videos right off the cuff, there are some things that I definitely will practice first to make sure that I have the right configuration, because it doesn't make sense for me to like do that live and try to figure it out. I probably could, but we'd be here for like 25 minutes. All right, and now I'm going to do one more here, so I'm really going to pop this up. Maybe I won't cut it out. Maybe I'll just leave it there so you can see me struggle. So just doing the hearts is plenty. It'll stick together really nicely. And then if you want to pop this up on top of that, you can always cut your foam squares in halves or quarters and just put them on the hearts. But I definitely would put them on all the hearts. Okay. There we go. Now this is going to go right onto this right here. And I think what I'll do is I will just attach it. Should I do the foam squares? Yeah, I probably should do the foam squares. We'll pop it up with some foam squares. So I'm just going to put the foam squares, like in this case, because it's going over 3 layers here and just, well, 3 layers here and 2 layers here, right? Because you've got the black layer pushing that up, and this is 4 layers because you've got 3 of these. So I really only have to do like these 3 and then these 3. So let's do that. I'm going to cut some little squares. And I'm trying to be better about my nails here. My fake nails. They're not real. So if you cut these in half, it's like the perfect size for the tops of these little hearts. My Olive and June nails. Everybody always asks what these nails are. The color is Baby Starfish. I really like them. So far, you know, there's all kinds of different nails that you can get right at the, you know, Walgreens or CVS or wherever you get your Ulta, wherever you get your manicuring stuff. But I'll tell you that the Olive and June ones are such a good shape that they stay because of the curve of the nail, the way it like hugs your nail bed. It's really nice. And they stay like longer than you almost want them to stay. My last set stayed on 3.5 weeks. They were looking really bad though, I'll tell you. They were looking really bad. I was doing videos and apologizing for them. Okay, so now we've got 3 at the top and 3 at the bottom. And I'm going to just put that right in the center. I'm going to put it a little above center, right there like that. Okay. So now I've got all that nice dimension. Oh, I love this. It's so pretty. Now I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock. Oh, I'll take this piece that gave me all that anguish earlier. I'll chop it up and make me feel better. And I'm going to stamp a couple of the images from this flower medley. So I think I'll do this one, and maybe I'll do these 2 and a couple of the greenery. Let me get my Misty. So we were talking the other day during my live about how some people were complaining about YouTubers that are not prepared when they go live, and that they're always looking for things, and that, you know, so they're gonna hate this video. Those people. Considering how ill prepared I was for that demo. Okay, let's just do 3 flowers, and then let's do these leaves and these. All right, so I'm going to stamp this in black ink. And somebody was asking in my last video what kind of ink I used because it wasn't smearing with the ink blending. So the ink that I like to use when I'm doing ink blending is the Gina K Designs Black Onyx ink. I know some of you have our amalgam ink, And the big difference between the amalgam ink and our water-based dye ink is the fact that with the amalgam ink, you can use it with Copic markers, colored pencils, and Gamsol, and you can use it with water, like watercolor. You can't use the black Onyx ink with watercolor because it does have a water base. Our premium dye inks do have a water base, and they will smear with water. So that's the big difference. But if I'm using ink blending, or I'm using, you know, Copic markers or colored pencils and Gamsol, I always prefer the fastest drying ink that I can find. And our black Onyx dye ink does dry really quickly. So while I have the Misty out, I should probably stamp the greeting that I want to use. And I'm going to stamp it not using black ink. I know this is like new for me, right? To not use black ink. I'm going to use Tranquil Teal. Since everything else is Tranquil Teal, I'm going to use Tranquil Teal. All right, and I'm hoping my coloring stencils are in here, and they are. There's one. Let's hope for the best that the rest are in here. They are. Okay. So let me put these back. And then I'm going to do the UR. And what do we want to say? See how these fit so nicely on here? You make me so grateful. You are the best friend ever. You are in my thoughts. Let's make me so grateful. No, that would be you make me so grateful. Let's do you are the best friend ever. So there's a you for make me so grateful. And there's you are for the best friend ever, so very special and in my thoughts. And we can always use a you for other strip sentiments that we have. Let me move that because I'm going to cut that with that die. Okay, so let's find that black Onyx.
Question from Marie, can you use obsidian black ink for watercolor, etc.?
Yes. Yep. Obsidian black is the amalgam ink. And so that's the one you want to use for anything with water. So that would be the one. Oh, you know what? I was going to stamp this in teal. Let me put this aside because I'll use this for something else, no doubt. But let's just do this. I want to do Tranquil Teal. Okay. Every once in a while, I like to do a greeting in a color. Not often. Most of the time, you'll see me do it in black. But every once in a while, I like to do it in a color. But if I do, it always has to be like a deep color. Like it has to be a really, really vibrant red or Tranquil Teal or fresh asparagus, dark chocolate. I probably wouldn't do it in like wild dandelion or sweet mango because that seems a little light to me. But I think this is going to look really pretty. And you could mix and match too. You know, you could do the UR in Tranquil Teal and you could mix it with the black, the best friend ever, if you wanted to mix black and another color. But you saw me get a little crazy with color with the Christmas kit that we released last month. I did a lot of greetings in red where I normally do black. It's just a thing for me. Okay, so let's color these in. So, let me find my stencil mat and get this down here. Now this set, you can buy coloring stencils to go with it. Now if you don't like coloring stencils, totally chill with that. Just go ahead and color them with colored pencils or markers, Olo markers, Copic markers. But one of the things that I find makes using these kinds of stencils easier is if you position the flower the way it is on the stamp sheet. You see how that is the same position? like that. So if I lay that down like that, that's really going to help me figure out where to lay the stencil down. See? Because these stencils are designed in the same orientation as the stamp sets, and most companies do that. So that's just a little tip that might help you a little bit when it comes to doing your coloring stencils. Alrighty, so let's just position that on top of there. And let's do this we'll make this flower like the main flower, and we'll do this one in the turquoise shades. So I'll start with sea glass, and I'll make sure that I don't have anything too dark on here. I don't. So I'm going to start with sea glass for this one, and I'm just going to kind of go around with some sea glass. And I think I'm going to edge this with a little bit of Tranquil Teal. So I'm just doing a light mist of color there. And then I'm going to edge this with some Tranquil Teal. So is this a teal brush? That's a teal brush. So I'm going to use a little Tranquil Teal, and then I'm just going to come in along the edges with this Tranquil Teal, just to darken it up on the tips a little bit. I don't want to darken it in the center because I am going to do the full center in Tranquil Teal. But I just want to add a little bit around the edges. So what color should I do the other two flowers? Should I do one in red and maybe one in bright yellow? You think those colors would look good? Okay. So that just gives me that glowy look. I love that. And then here's the center of the flower right under it. That I can go in with full-blown, heavy-handed Tranquil Teal. Like that. That looks pretty. I like that. Okay. So I'm going to just use a little bit of rubbing alcohol to clean off my stencil here so I don't cross-contaminate everything.
Purple, orange, peach, red, purple, yellow.
So many choices. Okay. Purple, huh? Purple would be really pretty. All right, now I'm going to do this one. And again, this should be fairly easy to line up. It should be. Oh, is this the wrong? Oh, this is, let's see. Oh, I have to see how I lined this flower up. So I lined it up upside down like this. So if I put my stencil in that direction, there we go. That should be pretty easy to line up. There we go. All right. So somebody said red, Tom?
Yes.
All right, I will do one in red. We'll have to see with the other ones. But I'll do like a 2-color red thing. I saw somebody said coral. So I'm going to use Coral Reef because it's a little bit brighter than Sun-Kissed Coral. So I'll do a Coral Reef lightly. A little light Coral Reef here. I think I had the wrong stencil here. I think I put the wrong stencil in this. In this batch here. This one I have right, but this belongs to Wishful Flowers. So I probably was scrambling looking for that one time. I'm glad I found that. Or that would be another email. All right. Now let's go around the perimeter using a deeper red. So let's use red velvet. Oh, by the way, I think I saw Mindy. Is Mindy Egan here? I think she is. I think I saw her earlier in the chat. Mindy and I talked yesterday on the phone. We were kind of talking about the fact that, hey, Mindy, we were talking about the fact that we do live like close enough that we really should do something together. So now we're working on a date where Mindy can come down here to Milwaukee, down and over, and that we can go live together here in our studio. So everybody encourage Mindy to come, because that's going to be super fun. That will be so much fun. Look at that. I love the glow. Doesn't that look so nice? All right. So orchid. I see orchid. I'm going to just fiddle with this one. I do feel like it needs, though, a pop of, like, I don't know, like a pop of yellow of some sort. No? Just a little pop of yellow. I know, wouldn't that be so fun to have Mindy here? Mindy and I are both not super tall. Mindy's tall to me, though, because I am super not tall. Super short. So I'll just wear my shoes, Mindy. But it's easy to work with, like, her and Jennifer, because we're both, like, we're all, like, very similar. I'm the smallest one, though. Not smallest, shortest. Let's get that clear. Shortest. All right, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to go with Wild Dandelion. I feel like it's going to be the color to do. Okay. But I will add, I know that some of you were asking for butterscotch. I did see butterscotch go by. So I'll add a little butterscotch just around the perimeter. Let me find my butterscotch. Okay, a little butterscotch. We'll warm it up a little bit. There we go. Maybe I'll do the whole thing in butterscotch. Do I have a butterscotch brush? I think I gotta clean my butterscotch brush. It's a little crispy. Some colors have a little bit more pigment in them, and they can get a little crispy. So all you have to do is take your alcohol and just clean the brush with the alcohol, and the bristles will come back. See how nice and clean that is again? And you can see how soft the bristles are again. But it was a little crispy. No butterscotch? You want purple? I don't know that I could do purple on the edges of the yellow. I think I would make brown. I could do orange on the edges of the yellow. Let's just see what this looks like. This is pretty orangey. We'll give it a try and just see. Just a little touch. Oh, that's pretty, right? It's glowy. Okay, so now I need the center of that, and I can use one of these little dots for the center. Like that, just to brighten it up a little bit. All right, I feel good about that. I think the colors look nice together. You know, make sure that you just, like, when I think about butterscotch and wild dandelion, I don't think that they're in the same color hue, right? Because the wild dandelion, it's such a bright, pure yellow, and the butterscotch is so warm and orangey. But when you put them together, they look so good. So, worth a try. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of green here on the leaves. And I'm going to use Jelly Bean, which I have right here, still out from the other day from my mess. Love jelly bean. That's so pretty. Look at that. It's kind of glowy too. And then I'll do all of these in a different green. And I'm going to like go way different on the greens here. Because you can. Because in nature, all the greens aren't the same, right? Let's go crazy and do spruce. So let's do light spruce on these other ones. All right, so. And what's kind of fun about mixing the greens like this is you'll see how pretty. They're not like in the same vein at all. If we were going to use colors in the same vein, we'd be more likely to use fresh asparagus, maybe grass green. But look how nice it looks when you have greens that don't even go together. So I'm going to use jelly bean on one and spruce on the other here.
Tracy said she likes the orangeness on the edges of the yellow. I love that word.
The orangeness. She's right. That's what I would say too. I would say orangeness. Okay, so now we've got a spruce, and then we'll add a jelly bean over here. We'll cut these out and assemble this card. So whatever's left on this brush, that's what's going on here. There we go. All right, so we have all of these colored in. I feel like those colors are good together. I think it's going to look really nice with this Tranquil Teal. And then we will have a wreath style card, and I'll show you how to assemble the greeting little strip sentiment thing. It's pretty easy. Now we could put a strip across the center if we wanted, like a border across the center. But if you're going to do that, you want to do that prior to popping it onto the frame. Like you want to put it underneath the frame. So if you were going to add a border, you would add it underneath like that and then pop it up, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's die cut these. And here is where I'm going to use my magnetic mat, because I like using the magnetic mat with anything that is a coordinating stamp and die.
Okay, a few requests for the word o' the day.
Let's do it.
Word o' the day.
Let's do the word of the day.
Okay, if you know somebody who is willing to take a risk on nothing more than a hunch, willing to take a big risk on nothing more than a hunch, and you could say that person might have a lot of testosterone. Testosterone. Big risk taker.
That word was a big risk.
Word o' the day. Back. Right back. See, I'm getting quick with this. Right back to the dead space.
Testosterone. I have testosterone. I like risks. I take risks. They don't always work out, but I have testosterone. So do a lot of people. A lot of you out there. You'll take risks, right? We'll try something with our card making, see how it goes.
I think you had a word of the day many weeks ago. Didn't you mention something about people who take rests a lot have testosterone? Wasn't that a word of the day?
Testosterone? No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. That's pretty good, though.
Testosterone.
That's pretty good. I like that. That wasn't my word. That must have been a word that you had floating around in your head. That's a good one. Testosterone's good too. Tom, when are you coming out with your book?
Any minute.
Okay, so I'm going to cut the UR first. And then I'm going to use the die from Master Layouts 18 to cut out Best Friend Ever. So let's get that out of here. There's a little pokey thing there that comes out. There we go. We got the UR. And then let's find the die for that I want to use for this. So I'm going to use, I like this shape. I'm going to use this shape. Is that going to work? Did I stamp it too close to the edge? I don't think so. Maybe. Let me see if the other ones are better. Sometimes you go too close to the edge. You fly too close to the sun. There, this one's better. Now, even though I'm on a magnetic mat, there is very little room there for me to go out of bounds. So I'm going to just take a little tiny piece of Masking Magic, and I'm just going to pop it over this like that, just to be safe, and cut. I'm reading all the comments. Living on the edge, yes. Okay, well, look how cute that is. Now, what I love about the sentiment strips in Master Layouts 18 is that you can use that all by itself, right? It's got a cute little decorative edge because it's got the stitching. It's nice and small, and it's ready to go. However, if you want to dress it up, you could put it up against the coordinating shadow layer, and it makes it a much bolder look because it really accentuates the greeting. See that? And it's laid out really nicely where it gives you enough that it's worth the color. You know what I mean? You get to see the color. Now, I think that if I'm going to do that, I would cut a one in Tranquil Teal, I think. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut one in Tranquil Teal just because I know I have another piece of Tranquil Teal here. There's no way that I don't. Here it is. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to cut one, and we can look at it. We can decide if we even want it at all, but I think it would be good to have it in the mix just in case. You know, I don't like using the hot water method of straightening the die cutting plate with the magnetic mat, and only because there is glue between this plate and the magnet, and that hot water will separate them. So I just use the magnetic mat only when I just did it here, but usually only when I'm cutting out coordinating dies. Otherwise, I use the regular mat that can be easily flattened back out with the hot water method. But remember, no matter no matter what mat you buy, what die cutting machine you buy, the mats over time just get so warped that it just becomes not really fun anymore to keep working on it, and sometimes it's just time for a new mat. That's where I was today. I just needed a new mat. But, you can definitely do that. I've heard some people just don't use boiling water. We've had so many people call customer service saying that they used boiling water and then the mat completely, it just melted, and there's no fixing that. So don't use boiling water. Whatever you do, don't use boiling water. Use as hot of a tap water as you can. And then you just put it in there and let it soften. And once it softens, you take the mat and then you just flex it back into shape until it's straight, and then you lay it down and put something heavy on it, like a real heavy book, and let it cool. And it works. But just don't use boiling water. We've had, I can't believe how many phone calls that we've had about people using boiling water. And I never said use boiling water. I said use hot tap water. But people, for some reason, I guess they thought I meant boiling water. And so they used boiling water and it ruined the mat. Okay, so now I've got Tranquil Teal around the outside, Tranquil Teal poking through on the inside. And now I'm going to do a little kind of design here. Let's zoom in a little bit. So I soak the mat until it's more flexible, till it's like pliable, where you can just like flex it a little bit. Oh, I love those colors in there. Aren't they pretty? They're so pretty. Now, I do think that we are not going to need that extra little shadow layer on our greeting, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to cut. So I don't know. I might add the leafery up here instead. Let's see. Do we even need it all? Maybe. I think that looks better. And then having this and then just the plain flower down there. Okay. Now I'm going to put UR, pop it up right here in the center, and then I can even move that up a little bit. You are the best friend ever right there. So I don't think it needs the shadow layer. I think it would just block too much of the flowers. So I'm going to do this layout. All right, so let's use some foam squares to do this layout. And I'm going to use double foam squares because I want it to be nice and high, and see how that's like barely touching because of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put one foam square and then I'm going to pop a second one on top. And that's going to give me a nice amount of lift. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll do that on this side, and I'll do two right in here. So you can double up your foam squares. And we'll look at the other cards that I had made earlier so that you can see a bunch of different designs using this master layout set. Yes, that's so nice. Okay. So this we can tape right down. Let's just make sure we know where we're putting it. Right down in there. And then this one, we can do the same thing. We can tuck it right in there, like that. And then this, I'll add two foam squares to pop it up. Everybody is very, very excited about the new kit coming. And I'll tell you, this kit is unbelievable. I'm so excited about our new kit coming up. It's got so much stuff in it. It's got too much stuff in it. It's got way too much stuff in it. But you'll be really happy. I promise you'll be really happy. I'm gonna put those two. Ooh. Ooh, I'm gonna just use one there. I don't know why it just sunk in there so nicely, but I like the difference in the height right there. It is a little bit lifted up there, but I think that that's really pretty. Did I forget to take the, forgot to take the liner off of that one. Like, why is that moving around? See, ill-prepared. I'm gonna move it up just a little bit so we get that circular feel from it. Okay. Now I'm gonna put the UR right in there. I think I can use shaker strips for this, if I have any here. I do. I'm going to use some shaker strips. Shaker strips are like twice the height as our foam squares. So let's just see if this works. Just for height. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, so there's a lot of things in this kit, and you guys are going to love it. You're really going to love it. We have surprises in this kit. It's very exciting. Is anybody else like just itching to do some autumn crafting? I really am. Boy, what a waste of that. What a waste of this leaf back here. I feel like we could put that somewhere else where we could see it better. You are the best friend ever. So I can't wait. Tuesday night, our illustrators will be here showcasing their new things. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you will join us. It'll be right here on YouTube and also on Facebook, providing Facebook keeps cooperating. I tucked that under the Y there. And then I'm going to just throw this one right there. How's that? Okay, so there we go. And I love that. That's just such a nice little element. It just grounds all of those flowers in there so nicely. And it's such a pretty little wreath. So let me show you again some of the other cards that I made. So here we've got the frame and we've got the border. And then I actually cut this out, not using a sentiment strip, but using the coordinating die. Here we've got that mitered look. I love that. And then this is just a plain old using the frame look. So you could substitute this in here instead and have a more kind of a more ornate edge, or you can have just that simple scalloped edge. But this is truly one of my favorite Master Layouts die sets because I feel like you can use it for anything that you would use Master Layouts 2 on, but it steps it up. It just takes it up a notch with that wide frame. The other thing I love about this set is for the holidays, it makes great shaker cards. So you could just put a film of the acetate in there, and then you could put shaker stuff back there, and then it will shake. But it's not, you know, it's not holiday themed or anything like that. It's just simple. So it makes great shaker cards. It makes great scenes because you could put scenes in there and it feels like a, you know, like a photo almost because of that frame. And doing that mitered edge technique really steps it up and makes it look like something a little bit different, right? So I love Master Layouts 18. I hope you guys love it too. Now we are going to give away a gift card today to one lucky viewer. All you had to do is make a comment in the chat, either on YouTube or Facebook, because they're all coming into us. So make sure you've left a comment. And while you're doing that, if you're new to the channel, I would love it if you would subscribe. All you have to do is, well, hit the thumbs up if you like the video. And if you did like the video, hit the subscribe button and all notifications. Miss another video, you'll just get a little notification saying Gina K is going live, come join. And then if you're not a member of our Facebook group, we'd love to have you over there. Our face group is called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. It's a group with 49,000 other crafters who we all share our cards and our projects that we make using Gina K Design stamps, dies, stencils, embossing folders, all the things. It's a great place to get inspiration. So if you get a stamp set, you can type the name of the stamp set in the search bar of the group and lots of different projects will come up for you. And then another big shout out to Brianne Loveland for linking everything for us today. Brianne, you really do make it easy for us and you make it look easy. I can't even remember the names of stuff, and Brianne always has them linked in the chat before before I even remember. But if you missed anything, you can find everything that I used today in this video on our website at ginakdesigns.com. All right, Tom, shall we give away a gift card?
Shall.
Let's give away a gift card.
All right. Drum roll, please. Here we go. Today's winner is Denise Morgans. Denise Morgans.
Oh, yay, Denise. Congratulations. I know Denise. Denise uses our products all the time on her Instagram and in our Facebook group. Denise, congratulations. All you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and we'll get that $15 gift card out to you. You can use it for the next release party if you want, or you can save it for another special event. They never expire. All right, everybody. Well, remember, next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, Tom and I will be here with our illustrators, with Lisa, with Melanie. I'm not sure if our Gina's going to be here. I know Debbie is out of town, so she's not going to be here this time, but she's got something great. So I think you're going to love what she has. And we will. She's going to be on vacation. I'm not sure if she's going to be on a cruise or not. But she said something about being on a ship and not sure if she could get internet to post her cards. So maybe we'll ask her to send her cards to Sammy so that we can get all of her beautiful inspiration into our Facebook group. And then at 7 o'clock, we will be releasing everything. All the products go live on the website. We show you everything, including a brand new card kit, which you're going to love. So until then, everybody, I hope you all have a great weekend. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you all so much for being here. We love you all so very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.